Welcome back to the Growing Band Director Podcast. This is episode number 304 or 300A. Here with Andrew Boysen Jr. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We had talked for a long time about having you come and do the 300th episode. The 100th and 200th was with Craig Skeffington,
Yeah.
my high school band director, and then I wanted to have you on as my college band director. But then schedule didn't happen, and Carol Britton Chambers took your spot. So
Oh,
this is
good person.
304.
No, that's a great person to take this time.
As a conductor, like you've adjudicated a lot of festivals. Um, as a conductor, I can tell you in public school, I am very rarely thinking about myself. And that's warranted. Anybody can think of all the reasons. Like you don't use the bathroom when you have to use it because it's not time to. It's not 12:08, so you can't use the bathroom.
Right.
You can't eat because it's not 1:14. Like,
Yep.
the amount of times that we don't, oh, I'm sick. I didn't even realize I'm sick. Well, I can't get sick till next week because I have a concert. I don't drink enough water. Your doctor tells you to do all these things. You're like, I can't
You're
stretch
bringing some
every
of these
10.
up. Some of these sound a lot like you, Kyle.
I can't stretch every 10 minutes. What are you talking about? I got a
Yeah, right.
euphonium
Oh,
thing happening. So
yeah.
we're very um, not selfish as band directors. But because of that, we all get some training in conducting. I had probably more than some other people, but other people even had more than I did. So because of that, our conducting kind of gets worse because we don't have any feedback on our conducting. I think we probably all think about our conducting once in a while, kind of like we think about stretching.
Right.
You're like, oh, I should do that. Oh, how am I conducting? Like,
Yeah.
so for me, my band room, as you know, is like this tiered band room. So my conducting gets too high, and then
Yep.
I realize the kids don't follow me unless I use more ictus. So I have to. So I like we reflect a little bit, but you've seen kind of it all. So without being negative towards band directors, a couple things we can walk away with to be better conductors for our students. Just some concepts to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good that you brought that up, though. I mean, that's funny. That, like, I like how you framed it too, because that's a lot of it, isn't it? And it's something my wife's really passionate about. Is the fact that we as band directors, and especially in the schools and public schools, never have time for ourselves, and making that time is a super important thing. And she's a very big advocate for wellness and carving out just little moments, like make one change that will help your life, and you'll be a better teacher.
Mhm.
Make that change. And I know you've had that happen in your life, and you've had choices, things you've had to change, and maybe make little adjustments that probably were good for you at the time.
Sure.
So I think that's cool that you brought that up, and framed it in that way, because I think that's it too. Like a lot of this is like, and frankly, like I don't know the last time I watched myself conduct, and I should be. Um, but I think a lot of it is we worry so much about the students, which is what we should worry about. That we're like, well, I just don't have time to score study. Well, I just don't have time to think about my conducting. Um, when actually, if we're worried about our students, then those are the things we need to make time for.
Hmm.
Um, and I've seen people that like talk about, well, the conducting part's not important. It's the rehearsing part. I'll just throw this out there that conducting is rehearsing, conducting is teaching, um, and it's an opportunity for you to teach a, a lot, um, if you use the tool. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, can you have a successful band and not be like gesturally very communicative? Yes, you can. You're just accomplishing it in a different way. Um, so I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I'll just kind of reiterate that it's a very valuable tool if you want to take advantage of it.
For
Um,
example, if the band's supposed to be soft, you should conduct soft.
sure, sure. I mean, having judged a lot over the years, the amount of times that you say, "Hey, we need to be playing piano here," and then you look up and the conductor is huge, like that, where they've taught the band to this point where they can, and that the biggest problem on the stage is them at that point.
Mhm.
That does happen, and that's I think something that's pretty easily rectifiable. Is that a word?
It is. I
you
think
can
so.
you can change that pretty
Yeah.
quickly if you want to. And that might just be as simple as once a year, put the video camera on yourself in rehearsal and go back and watch.
Or send the YouTube video to a friend and be like, tell me, you
Right,
know.
right. Um, man, there's practicing teachers that still go do they've been teaching for 15 years and they still go do a conducting symposium. I wouldn't have the guts to do that. I admire that greatly because that's putting yourself out there, and they're trying to improve themselves as teachers, and I'm impressed by that and value that for sure.
The other thing that comes with the overconducting is tempo.
Yeah. I
Why
don't
is
know if
my
you
band
remember,
slowing down?
I
What?
don't even, I don't know if you remember this story. We probably don't have time for this, but like, uh, is it okay?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Um, one of my conducting teachers in undergrad, was James Dixon. Um, and I probably told you this story before, but like, I, I mean, so much respect for that man. He was assistant conductor to Dimitri Metropolis of Minnesota Orchestra. I mean, incredible, incredible teacher, incredible musician, incredible conductor. But he came from the old school, where you conducted from the shoulder, and that was the only thing that moved. So like the first like 6 weeks of advanced conducting with him, you balanced your baton here,
Wow.
and you had to conduct a two pattern and not have the baton fall off. So that was like if the baton fell off, that meant you were moving somewhere else, not just at the shoulder. Um, so like that's what I came out of undergrad. Like the thumb was on top, moving only at the shoulder. And so I'm doing my master's recital at Northwestern, and we're doing this piece that's quarter equals 176 for like 7.5 minutes. And I'm rehearsing it like 3, 4 times, and I'm like, why are they slowing down? Like, why are they slowing down? Because I'm trying to move here and be big and dramatic, and it's like quarter equals. Well, of course they're slowing down. It's me who's slowing down. It's not them. Um, and that's a big shift for me. Like I was like almost to the end of my master's degree, and I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this? Um, so yeah, little things like that make a huge difference, right? In terms of how we come across their students and how we're able to help them or not in that moment.
Yeah, and you still got into Eastman.
I, I'm pretty sure I didn't send that video because that would not have
Yeah.
gotten.
Well, it's funny because like if you were to turn it into the most practical thing, it's like conduct with your fingers, conduct with your wrist. Like that's the takeaway from that, right? Like
Uh,
conduct smaller, kids are going to play loud.
yeah,
Well, and I love and you used to do this, and I get it from you too. Like conduct really small, and you are, and then they're not paying attention to you. Then you have one up on them. Then you go, like then you do the
right,
next thing. Then you stop and say, I
right,
know I'm conducting soft. You need to make sure you are too.
right. And kind of the flip side of that is like as soon as I say something to them, I need to reinforce that.
Yep.
I can't say soft to them and then not be soft. And I can't say soft to them and then when we come back to it and they're still playing too loud, I need to be able to like, no, remember we talked about this. Um, and so that's again where I think it can be a really valuable tool in as a teacher.
I also think we need to change the color of batons because I know we wear black, and I know some people put black curtains, but like as in the normal high school, middle school, beginning band, you got a whiteboard. Like everything behind you is like this gray white. Sometimes they can't even see the baton if they were looking at the baton. So I think there's that too. That's
You
just
might
me.
you might advocate for it. You might be the person that changes this. What if like in the future the color is like orange,
Yeah.
like the construction caution bright orange.
Where I'd like to actually hit some of your pieces near the end too. And this
Okay.
one I got to choose. I just like wrote down a bunch of pieces that I want people to listen to a little bit of yours.
Oh, okay.
Um, if we were to classify your music, like for people who haven't listened to your stuff, you have things that like sound very different. But what are some of the things that like you feel like are maybe common threads in your pieces?
That's an interesting question. Interesting way to start, man. So yeah, I do try. I mean, it depends on the commission and what they've asked for, and so that always influences things. But I do try not to write the same piece over again as best I can. So I do try to intentionally have a wide variety of things out there. I mean, there's not a lot of people looking for 12-tone pieces these days, so I don't get that chance very often. But if somebody said, "Hey, that's what we want," I would totally be into that. Um, so I definitely try to make sure my music at least sounds somewhat different from piece to piece. Um, but I think I have a tendency to be a fairly conservative composer, tendency to be a fairly tonal composer, but maybe like with a little bit of a twist, you know. So I think that's in there. I think most of my pieces have a lot of percussion.
Mm-hmm.
You incorporate that a lot. Um, Lynn's gives me a hard time. She's like, every piece has a horn rip in it, which is probably almost true. You know, um, I mean, I think there's certain colors and gestures that, you know, once you have success with it, you kind of put that in the bank, and like you tend to fall back on those things even if you don't mean to. And I think every composer has that. So we all have our little things that maybe we tend to do more often that other people maybe don't.
When I think of your music too, I there was a time in college when like I feel like everything I played of yours was like half step based, and there was like some
Yeah.
anger is probably the wrong word, but like stuff that's so not your personality, and just like really cool contemporary stuff. And then there's stuff that's just gorgeous. And then kind of everything in between. So I kind of would put like there's like two sides to you. I don't
Yeah.
know if you're bipolar or anything, but
I mean, I sometimes joke with honor bands that like, you know, we're playing something and I'm like, well, I have a lot of anger that is unresolved here, you know, which is totally not true. But I just love that stuff. I've enjoyed that kind of music too. And so um yeah, I have a I love to go from one piece to the next and do the opposite of what I just did. So, you know, I just finished one that was pretty tonal, and I would love to just dig on something crazy and dissonant and all that. We'll see what happens.
I think the plan too is to actually like talk about a handful of your pieces and like maybe listen to a little bit of them, snippets for people. So you mentioned Lindsay. So
Yeah.
let's do a little bit of song for Lindsay. A lot of people probably know it, but there's probably many who don't. What's the backstory of this piece?
Oh, yeah. So back when back when she and I were, and I think I've told you this before, haven't I? Or I've told you probably when you've been working on it with the kids, but yeah, when we were dating, I wrote her a little piano piece, um, just as a gift, just as a surprise. I don't even think it was for like a birthday or anything. I think it was just like a thing. And yeah, she came home from teaching one day, and I, you know, pulled over the piano, and I'm not that good a pianist, so I was like shaking. You know, my hands were doing this and trying to like play through this piece for her. Um, and we had a friend play it at our wedding. Um, so it was just a really meaningful thing for me. And then a few years later, Jack Stamp asked me to write something for his symphony band, the second group there at IUP. And, you know, some of the stuff he'd gone through in life, some of the stuff I'd gone through was somewhat similar. We kind of had a shared past. And, you know, this was at the CBDNA convention when it was in New York City. And he and I were walking along and talking. And he pulled me into this little deli, and we sat down, and he said, Andy, I want you to write your October,
That's cool.
which of course is a beautiful, uh, amazing piece. Um, I don't think Song for Lindsay is like October. I guess it falls in the same category, but yeah, I think I understood what he meant. Um, and as I started thinking about it, I thought about like our shared experiences, and I thought, hey, it'd be cool if I could like expand on this piece that I wrote for Lynn's. And so I before I went through with it, well, I asked Jack if he was okay with it, and he was. And then I asked Lynn's, and she said she thought about it for a minute, and then she said, "Yeah, it's okay with it. I'm okay with it, just as long as nobody ever knows it's about me." Um, so finished the piece, called a song for Lindsay, didn't tell her. um, yeah, I don't know if she's regretted that or not. I know she was laughing once and telling me that her high school band had come and told her that there was a recording of it online, and some of the comments were like that it was that I wrote it for my dead wife and things like this. And they were telling her they had written back like, she's my band director. She's definitely not dead. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, it's a lovely piece of music. So let's listen to a little bit of it. Here's Song for Lindsay. One of the things that I took away from my time at UNH, 6 years, five of them were with you. And I like to tell people that I failed 3 times, but it's just because of grad school, right? So,
Yeah.
um, was the like I remember being in rehearsal and like being in the band that you were cleaning. So one of the things I took from you is like kind of how to stand in front of a band and pick apart error, find errors and pick it apart and fix it. Um, so like some tips, like general concepts and how to rehearse a band and how to make them better. And we might even talk about the text that you have written for shows as well. But
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, let me say, like, um, you were like right at the beginning.
right.
You, I think I think one person maybe did that grad program kind of with me before you. You were really, my first real grad student, like, and you were amazing.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I didn't know that at the time, but like
well, I
I
mean,
remember before the concert, you're like, this has to go well.
well, yeah, right. Yeah, that was for real too. But I mean, and you did the Stravinsky piano concerto. I mean, good grief, what a hard piece.
Mm.
What a hard piece. And there you were, and you were rehearsing it with a faculty member, a soloist, and like you were good right away.
But it was one of those things that like I didn't know it was hard because you literally said do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I was choosing between that and the gazebo dances.
Oh, is that the other? I didn't
Yeah.
see. I didn't remember
Now
that.
at this point, like that's so far beyond anything I've done in the last 20 years. But just you kind of let me just pick whatever I wanted. So
Yeah.
I didn't have bumpers on me really.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I hope that the challenge of doing that allows you to be, has allowed you to be, to function at a much higher level with your own students. I think there's something to be said for that. The fact that you can think that way and work that way, and so you automatically raise the bar on your own kids. You know, because
It's
you're fabulous with what you do in rehearsal with them. You
it's
know,
funny, I sometimes people ask me and I'll literally say I kind of have like I know this goes back to like how we don't listen to our college professors half the time and then half the time we do and then so one of the things I didn't listen to was when you said don't listen to the recording of the piece like for make your own because the concept was what make your judgments of the
right,
piece and your decisions based on the score and not on what you hear Eugene Corpron do or something,
right.
right? Well, so now when I have a like I don't do that. Um, so well, maybe the decisions, this I guess I do the decisions based on the score, but like
Yeah,
I listen to the piece a bunch of times when I'm rehearsing with the kids and have the kids listen to it too. And like I always have the piece going in my head as we're playing it. And like literally whatever they do that doesn't line up, that's what I work on. I mean, to me, it's really simple.
yeah, right. You say it's really simple, and yet it's a difficult. Um, I don't know. It's just difficult to learn how to do it really well. You know, I think there's it's super difficult for young students to like have to change how they approach things. I mean, they're used to being, when you're a student, you're sitting there, somebody's telling you what to do. You're not thinking about hearing the music one way in your head and evaluating it, and all the layers that are there, that have to happen on the podium in the moment. The this is what it should sound like. This is what I'm hearing. How do I fix that with no delay? And not only that, but you're also helping them in your conducting. So there's physical things that are happening. There's awareness of what's happening in the room around you. Like there's so many things going on to really be successful on the podium, and that you have to be able to do. And so I think that's it. You say it's simple, but I don't know that I
Mhm.
agree. I think
There
there's
was
a
there
lot
was
that,
one thing you did that still strikes me. We did a piece. I don't know if you've done it since we when we did Samurai. Is that Nigel Clark? I think wrote the piece.
yeah,
Uh, um, I haven't even listened to it since college, but I remember loving that piece. And
yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was all I know was the second page of my trumpet two part. Like I don't know where it was in the score,
Okay.
but we got to a point and like it was not sounding good, and you had to like start rehearsing it. Do you remember what happened next?
No idea.
No, so you stopped, and for some reason I still remember this. I think it was my junior year or something like that, and you said, "You know what? I don't really know what's going on here at this moment, so we're going to put this away. Give me some time to go figure out what and find a game plan." And that's when it kind of hit me like, "Oh, like he has a game plan. Like there is a plan from the conductor as to how to take this section of music and break it apart."
Oh yeah. Huh. Go me.
And
I have no idea that whatsoever.
your willingness to kind of say, I I haven't done this score study yet. Let's put it away. That kind of showed us that, oh, maybe he hasn't done the work on it, but like he's showing that he has work to do.
Yeah, well, I feel that way a lot. That's funny. That's funny that you remember that. Um, I don't remember that at all. I love that piece. That's a great piece. Yeah, it's boy, it's hard to be willing to do that, isn't it? To just say I'm not ready for this moment yet. Or when you run out of, I mean, boy, it still happens to me. I run out of ways to like. I think I know how we're going to attack a problem, even with the college students.
But it doesn't fix it.
Really with the high school students, when you're doing an honor band or something like that, and like, yeah, and so they're like, okay, that way didn't work. Here's the next way. Here's the next way, and then you're like, oh, I've tried 3 ways and it's not happening. Now what do And then I need time to think, to be able to regroup because you have to have multiple ways to do things.
Here's what I struggle with. There's this whole flipped classroom thing, right? Where it's like I see teachers teach who only ask questions. They'll stop and they ask the question, "What do you hear?
Right.
What should we work on? Well,
Right.
why do we, and I'm terrible at that because when I'm listening to the piece in my head, it's like, okay, here's a checklist and my brain is full. So we're going to stop and then we're going to try to get everything. And then we're going to, if you feel like that's a strength of yours as a teacher, it's like, okay, I want to help these kids. But the stopping and saying, what part do you want to work on?
Boy, it's a tightrope though. It's a balancing act because like that takes a lot longer. And at what point do you start to do a disservice to maybe their development as a player or their experience of music as a whole? But on the other hand, they're learning about thinking about music and being critical. I think that it's a balancing act. I'm with you, and probably it's my fault. You're not good. If you say you're not good at it, it's probably my fault because I don't think I'm very good at it either. Um, and some people are amazing at it. Yeah, I've seen Scott Jones from Ohio State just do like amazing stuff that way. I was just down with North Hills High School down near Pittsburgh last week. I mean, that rehearsal environment was amazing, just amazing. Len Lavelle and Lucas Beaver, the great teachers, and what a great environment. Like the vibe in the room and the kind of the interaction, and there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Um, but the students were so engaged, like they would make comments too. Hey, we need to do this better. Um, conductors on the podium, and okay, let's go back to 67. We're going to work on this, blah blah blah, and then first chair alto sax. Hey guys, don't forget that articulation he talked about last week. And everybody nods their head or is like, yeah, yeah. They like verbally respond and like that's a tough environment to create, but that's pretty cool when the kids are kind of as you call the flipped classroom sort of thing.
Yeah, it's hard because you want them to be quiet because it's a rehearsal and you're respecting rehearsal, but you want them to talk and interact to help each other.
Right, right. And that's yeah, that one was pretty cool because they would talk, but then they were immediately focused again, which that's the hard part, right? With anybody, like with adults, like to turn that on and off like that. Um, and I definitely I think grew up with the like I keep my mouth shut in rehearsal and pay attention and focus. And so like I think I tend to default toward that. Sounds like maybe you do a little too.
I do.
I don't know if that's a bad thing. It's just you know,
Well, and what I talk about this a lot with people is the pacing of the rehearsal has so much to do with not only the quality of the product, but the culture of the entire program, right? I mean, so if you just kind of reverse engineer it, if you want to have a great culture, they need to care about each other and care about the experience, which means they need to have great performances. Well, great performances is part of, I don't think you can sound terrible and have a great culture. I'm not saying it's everything, but it's part of
totally,
it. And
totally.
then to get them to get really good, they have to, like rehearse really hard. And to rehearse really hard, they have to be challenged, but not over challenged and not under challenged. And so one thing you were great at was like, I always felt like I had to keep up with you in rehearsal, but like just enough. So like I was always there. And then you were just like a little bit ahead of me. Like you never left us in the dust.
Okay. Thank you. That means a lot to hear that. And
So
I,
so like I've always tried to do that. It's one of those you try to just like keep them moving without going too slow and without going too fast.
and you and I see it alike on a lot of things. We look at things a lot the same way, I know. So I think we're very similar in that. Um, I've witnessed, I can think of a teacher right now who's brilliant, amazing, but doesn't understand where the students are. And so the level is above them and they're like struggling constantly to, and so the musicianship is there for that to be an incredible program. Um, but it's not, you know. Um, so I think that does happen. And I totally agree with you on on building culture. Like everything you just said, like that should be that should be printed on like a handout that goes to every music ed student because that's so important and it's so much more important than like knowing the trill fingerings or like those very basic things that the students care for each other, and you care for them, that there's a place they want to be, and if we and I totally buy into the like they don't want to be there unless it's good. Because you think about schools, almost every school has things like we're good at this, we're not good at this, we're good at this, we're not good at this. It's not something in the water, you know. It's that this thing. There's a teacher or coach or whoever that's like able to bring it to a certain level, and then everybody's like, "Oh, I want to be on the wrestling team. The wrestling team wins state championships." Well, and the more people are engaged, the more. I mean, it has to be at least good, you know, or you're not going to build the culture you're
And
talking about.
another side of that is the programming part of things too, like trying to find the right music to push them and perform enough, but not too much, and a wide variety of things. Like I'll just say it, I'm terrible at performing marches. I'm great at performing transcriptions or standard band rep. Like I'm all into the things, but I do not do enough marches. And it's just like one of those, well, there's only a certain number of pieces and
Right,
nobody demands that I do a certain thing. So,
right.
I, yeah,
But I mean, you do marches. I'll bet every kid plays a march.
probably,
Yeah,
but I don't do like
but
the
you don't do
standard marches.
one at every concert, and you
Right.
don't do yeah, yeah,
Well, and a lot of times the marches now are younger band marches, like newer marches
right,
written by Randall Standards or whoever, because
right,
there's a ton of great young band marches that are not
right,
Fillmore, Sousa, or King,
right.
of which my favorite is Carl King. But
Nice, go Iowa.
go Iowa,
Uh,
yeah,
like I don't, as you know, I don't program marches with the college group very often. Um, I don't. It's not that I don't value them though, and I think I don't know that I'm going to be the best teacher of them, but I don't think I'm a bad teacher of a march either. And I think I've seen it actually. You do a great job of teaching marches. Um, you
one of the
maybe
concerns I have is we have a program with 11 percussionists in each band, and they can all play. So it's like, yes, yes, we're going to triple the marimba part and add vibes, and yes, we're going to have a bass player, and yes, we're going to, but like at some point, there's other music that fits them, and if for these 2 months all I have is three pieces,
right,
it might be a standard band piece that has a ton of percussion that's not an actual march.
right, right.
Because to me, the point of the march is to teach the history of the wind band, right? Well, the history of the wind band is not just marches, but other older
Yeah,
music too.
there's other things too. Yeah, yeah, which are equally important for sure.
And I'll say it. I know we're not here to promote it, but error detection is a big thing. So you do have a textbook out there that is very heavy. Man, is it big. Um, developing rehearsal techniques through active listening. It's available through Chose, where you basically took a bunch of like recordings of bands who were making a bunch of mistakes in the music, and then you have like spreadsheets where people can like what would you fix in this area, and then you have answer sheets. Like not only this isn't just what you say, this is what here's 50 teachers who like gave answers to this, and so kind of ways to like learn through a textbook how to listen to an imperfect recording and then figure out what you would fix when the time is real.
Well, yes, and thanks for bringing it up again. You've been a huge supporter of that project over the years. I appreciate that. I don't know if it's helped other people. I hope that it has. I mean, it was developed to help my own teaching, to help my own students be more prepared. So, um, I, and the idea essentially was like we were talking about these things, but it's just my perspective. So I was trying to get here's what a whole bunch of other people that know more than I do, um, that's what they think about what
But
they would.
the ability to say, no, I would fix the flute intonation, and then to
Right.
hear, well, actually, that's like the 50th answer.
Yeah.
The
Right.
top answers are this, this, and this. And you're like, go back and listen again. It's like, oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
recognize that.
Right. Well, and for me, that's the biggest benefit is the kind of the like, oh man, I always miss the whatever, you know. For me, and I've known this a while now, but it was reiterated as I was doing the project too. Like phrasing, man, there's times I just don't like. Everybody takes a breath in a bad spot in the
Mm-hmm.
recording, and I didn't notice it at all. And everybody else is like, no breath after the third bar. Like, yep, you're right. Should have noticed that. So,
So you got better through it too.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. And it made me, like just organizing that all made me think differently about my rehearsals and how I approach things. Yeah, it actually doing the project helped me too.
And it's funny, we talk about phrasing. Sometimes it's hard. Like when we were on with Lindsay, like a couple of years ago, she said, you can't just tell a seventh grader just to like be emotional. Like they don't know what that means. Right. So
Right.
actually, we had a clip that I used on one of the social medias that actually got banned because the way she said like middle school kids in emotion. And for some reason, those three words together, like got it kicked off this.
Are you serious?
It was like this totally innocent comment. Anyway.
That is so funny. I mean, I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Um,
What are the chances of that?
Um, but just the not breathing. Like if you want a phrase to sound more connected, just say don't breathe until, and it's funny how much that fixes it.
Yeah, I mean, and it may not in that moment, that seventh grader may not all of a sudden feel the emotion of the moment, but they're starting to understand how to create a line in which will lead to that when they get it, a couple years later they get you as their teacher.
Well, and in the end, if they crescendo at the right spot and decrescendo at the right spot and breathe in the right spot, it's going to sound pretty emotional.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let's jump into another piece. I have this piece next because I really like it, even though there's a flute solo. I mean, these flute solos are killing me, but I really like Metamorphosis because I think it's sort of a glimpse into your writing at the grade 3 level. And I wouldn't call it a 3.5. I think it's like just a 3. One thing about you mentioned percussion earlier. Like I struggle, like when we did Unraveling with 10 percussionists last year, I know you were there for that. Like that's hard to do because you have a lot of percussion writing, but it's kind of meant for one kid to play four different things rather than
Yeah. Yeah.
anything else. So Metamorphosis is about the lifespan of a butterfly, right? And I don't know if we need to go through the whole story of it, but it's from a science project, right?
I mean, really briefly,
Yeah,
I will say this because there's Eric Cobb's group that, and Eric has a
yeah.
great program near us here at UNH, and he's the like executive director for the New Hampshire Music Educators. He's a really great teacher, and so he really got the kids involved. And for anybody out there who was like maybe thinking about commissioning, I think this is really a great way to do it. He had them all come up with ideas for what the piece could be, and so we had a list of like 95 things or something. And he and I narrowed it down a little, and then the kids talked about it, and then they voted on it. And it was not what I expected. The other finalist was the Krista McAuliffe in the Challenger explosion. I figured they'd be more focused on something more dramatic like that, but they chose the life cycle of a butterfly, which was an interesting challenge for a
Well,
piece.
let's hope you didn't have the piece planned already because going from the
Right? No,
Challenger to
I
the
did not.
butterfly.
Did not. It would have been a very different piece.
Um, so you need to have a really great flute soloist, right? There's like low C in the flute, beginning and end.
Yeah.
Um, other than that, very playable, pretty.
Thanks. Yeah.
It would work as a ballad, would work as an opener.
Yeah.
Maybe not a closer.
No, it's the quiet ending. I think it's the tough ending too. So yeah. But
Isn't there singing in this as well?
yeah, yeah, but it's very like sing a pedal note sort of thing.
And I love the in any octave. The minute composers go in this octave, you're like, oh gosh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I've made that mistake and then regretted it later too.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to snippets of it. Here's Metamorphosis. So we're gonna start talking about honor bands. I'm somebody who's sort of organized and managed a ton of honor bands, and you're somebody who's done a ton of honor bands in all states and
Yeah.
all that. I'm not going to ask you how many states and countries, but it's a lot. Um, some what are some like so if like people are organizing honor bands and they are getting a conductor in, like
Yeah.
maybe I don't know if you want to talk about the horror stories or like what are some things like people we want to avoid or what are some best practices?
Um, and I can think about like there's Francis Macbeth articles and the instrumentalist over the years about this. It seems like there's a bunch of, and I'm not probably going to say anything different than he said, 40 years ago. Um,
But assume people haven't read the
but
Francis Macbeth
yeah,
article.
right, right. Like, and I just told you I was down in Pittsburgh, and they had it down. That was fantastic. And when I've worked with you, like, amazing. Some of the best honor band experiences I've had. But a lot of that, it's unfortunately it's way more, as you can attest, it's way more work than you have time for
Mm-hmm.
as a band director if you're the one having to organize it. But like, because it's like you still have to think through everything as if you were the band director,
Mm-hmm.
and you just don't get to do the fun stuff, which is kind of sad, but true. Like the number of times that I go out and like they, for instance, haven't even opened the score to realize that there's a piano part. So there's no pianist, and we're there first rehearsal. We have a concert tomorrow night, and there's no pianist for a piece that features piano, or no realization of like a flugelhorn part or a string bass part. So there's those sorts of things. Just the instrumentation of it, I think, is a like that's the almost the biggest thing because that can become really detrimental for the whole experience for everybody if
Sure.
we don't have the bodies, we don't have the instruments to play the music. So I think that's one of them. I think name tags, you know, names. So
Kyle French horn one.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge. And I know it's a pain in the butt, but it's huge.
Well, so like this is the way I've done it, and there was one year where I forgot it until an hour before I was leaving, so I had to do it quickly. You literally like, the way I do it is I have the setup of the band, and then I start from conductor left front row to right, and then in the second row it's right to left, and then in the third row it's left to right. So you're like snaking through the band, and you
Yep.
literally just type each one and print them out in that order. So
Yep.
when you get there, you can just put them down on the chair because
Yep.
that not only do the kids get them, but then they know where they're going to sit.
Fix it. Yeah. Which is another big thing. Like the amount of times I've gone to an underband and they're like, the first thing we do is, rehearsal's supposed to start at 9. So at 9 o'clock, they're like, okay, where do you want people to sit? And then they call them up one by one, and we start rehearsing at 10 o'clock. Um,
Yeah,
so
so do
that,
that
that kind
before
of
the
thing.
kids are there, before
Yeah.
they're ready to get on there.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's all those things you would do if it was your own group. But because that's an extra, and I get it, like that's an extra on top of like crazy teaching schedules, and so it's a lot to add that in. Um, I think those are the biggest ones that I've experienced. I've had ones where like I realized, you know, 2 weeks before the gig that I was supposed to bring the music myself.
Wow.
So that's apparently, and I think it's in some parts of the country that's actually fairly common. But like again, okay, the conductor shows up and then we're gonna worry about stuffing folders like 30
Hmm.
minutes before the kids come on for the rehearsal. And like I had to provide the music myself. And I don't see that very often, but I
Well,
think
and as a
that's
conductor, like if you're doing a piece, doesn't mean that UNH owns it.
correct.
You
Right.
have the score. Doesn't mean you spent the $75 or 150
Yeah.
if you need two
Yeah.
of
In
them.
this particular case, it was like I mean, we were playing grade 2 and 3 music. We just don't own that stuff at UNH.
Right.
So like I was trying to borrow it from people and seeing if they had somebody because I wasn't expecting to have to do that.
Band directors, be honest. How many times a week have you said, fix your hand position? 5, 10,000, somewhere in the triple digits? Thumb gummy can't stop wrong notes, missing mouthpieces, or the mysterious disappearance of every pencil in your band room, but it can help fix hand position. Thumb Gummy is a small, comfortable teaching aid that naturally guides your students' hands where they're supposed to go, so you don't have to repeat the same correction every rehearsal. Teachers appreciate how quickly students respond, and students like it that it feels natural instead of bulky or awkward. And whether it's a brand new beginner, rusty returners, or anyone who just needs a little reinforcement, it helps them become more independent with every rehearsal. It installs in seconds, fits trumpets, trombones, and clarinets, and the clarinet version also fits the oboe, giving more of your woodwinds the support they need. If you're looking to make your rehearsals run just a little bit smoother, check out thumbgummy.com. You've heard me talk about the wonderful Tuner Caddy product. Now introducing the Tuner Caddy Tuner TCT60M. Is a chromatic tuner that transposes for instruments in F, C, B flat, and E flat. Has a 6-foot clip-on microphone so they can tune from their seat, a built-in metronome to keep your tempos honest, and a bright, easy-to-read display so even the trumpet section can't miss it. Pair it with the Tuner Caddy and you have the Tuner Caddy system, a place for everything and everything in its place. Excelsior Music Publishing is proud to sponsor the Growing Band Director podcast. Excelsior Music Publishing provides festival and assessment music for concert band, jazz ensemble, and solo and ensemble performances, as well as method books to help your students grow. A variety of overtures, marches, and lyric works included on numerous state lists await you. Choose music to meet your contest and festival needs at excelsiormusic.com. That's EXCELCIA music.com. Amano Music is a proud sponsor of the Growing Band Director podcast. If you're a band director looking for a clear path to grow your program, take a look at the Band Director's Goal Setting Planner. It helps you map out your priorities, organize your year, and stay focused on the things that truly move your program forward. Inside the planner, you'll find tools for long-term planning, weekly goal setting, reflection, and building stronger support systems for your students and community. You can find the Band Director's Goal Setting Planner at amanomusic.com. That's AAMANO music.com. And listeners to the Growing Band Director podcast receive a special 10% discount by entering the code GBD10 at checkout. That's GBD and the number 10 at checkout. Sponsorship for today's podcast is provided in part by Austin Custom Brass. Austin Custom Brass is the largest Adams brass dealer in the United States. Adams Brass makes some of the world's finest trumpets, flugelhorns, trombones, euphoniums, and tubas. Find out why some of the most renowned musicians in the world play Adams Brass, like many of the brass musicians from the Rotterdam Philharmonic Orchestra. Trent Austin, founder of Austin Custom Brass, is also an Adams artist. You can call Austin Custom Brass today at 816-410-0826 to learn more about Adams Brass, or visit their website at www.austincustombrass.biz. Yeah, to me, the biggest things, if I'm going to manage, if we're saying concert band, but it's really the same thing for jazz band. Number one, like, get the right person to do it. It's not always about the name. It's about somebody who can relate to the kids and who has the skills to do it. Sometimes it's somebody like you who's done a bunch of them and has done a bunch because they're really good at it. And then sometimes it's, like do an all state with a great high school teacher from somewhere else in the country who like is living the high school experience. Doesn't have to be a college person, right?
Right. For sure.
To me, get the right person in front of the kids. And then number two, make sure you choose the right literature. Because I think one thing that you didn't say was over programming for the band. I think we all, say I'm talking to you and I'm the manager and I want to, put Maine in a good light. So I say, oh yeah, we can play grade, whatever, anything you want to play, we can do it. And then the inability to say that's too hard. We need to put it here because as a conductor who's doing the honor band, you don't know the kids, right? So you're trusting me to say this is the right level.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, and it's healthy to have that kind of back and forth a little bit of like, I'll often submit multiple programs, like, to see what they think fits, and like even this one we just talked about, like they came back and the program was pretty hard, and they were like, yeah, can we add one more piece? I was like, oh, okay, but yeah, they were right, so. And you don't hear that very often, You said over programming. You don't usually get asked to like, can you do more music? So I think that is important to both aspects of that, kind of the interaction with the potential conductor, and then finding the right person for it. I totally agree. It doesn't have to be, the top names in the business. It doesn't have to be college people just because they're college people. I mean, some of the best teachers in this country are teaching beginning band and teaching middle band 10 times the teacher I am. So yeah.
What about for people who are starting to get asked to do honor bands, whether it be all states or region bands or whatever? Like, what are some things that you found that you would give for advice for them as they're starting that journey?
Yeah.
Like, are
Um,
you someone who says bring three extra pieces in your back pocket in like program six, so you're going to do three? Like, no, like, or
yeah, I don't
only do pieces you've done before. Like, I've heard people say that, like,
almost always I only do pieces I've done before. Yeah. So that I know I can teach it efficiently and that like
you know where the bodies are buried.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah. So very rarely, I mean, I might be doing a premiere or something. And then once in a while I'll do it because I with my UNH group, I'm not doing a lot of grade 2 and 3 lit, you know. So like for me to get to know some of those pieces, sometimes it is I want to add I like this piece, I want to add this to what I know I can do. So you have to try it. Um, but like so I think that is a really helpful one. Um, I don't usually take extra things because I don't like, and this is just me. I don't think other people are like this, but I've always found that students always feel like bummed when they've got 4 pieces in the folder, and you're like, but we're not going to do that one, you know. And then they're like, oh, I practiced it, or we even maybe rehearsed it a little, and then there's always
Maybe that was their favorite piece.
that exactly. So I try not to create that situation. If it is one of those where I'm really not sure about the level of the kids, I might like from the get go just say like we're going to work on these 4. There is an extra one in there that we might use instead, you know, depending on the fit. But like, so that's about for me, and it's the same reason like I wouldn't take a solo away from a kid in an all state or like an honor band situation. Like they earned that spot, they're there, it is what it is. You know, like I want them to have a memory of feeling supported and feeling like that was a great memory for them, not a negative memory for them. So I do try to build that environment because you have to build a relationship really quickly. Um, and so that's one of the big things for me is I try to learn names as quickly as I can, so that I'm never saying first trumpet. You know,
Do you ever have the conversation with the euphonium player, like on the break in another room? One of these, like, look, I know you have this really big solo. If this is stressing you out, like, I'm behind you. I want you to be able to play this. Do you have any part of you that doesn't want to do this? Like, do
I've
you ever
had
give
that.
them an out? Okay.
Yeah, I've had that in case there's because sometimes there's. I mean,
Sometimes the kid
remember
wants
I
nothing to do
remember
with the
being first
solo.
chair. Yeah, I remember being first chair and being scared to death. Yeah, and I would probably would rather have had the conductor say, "Hey, you know." So yeah, I've had that conversation where I like give them an out or give them an option of like, "Hey, we can you and the second chair kid can play together if you know want a little more support on it or that sort of thing." But um, but always with the intent of like supporting them. Yeah,
Well, when you've done Maine All State a couple times, is it twice?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was there for both of them, managed one of them. One of them I just watched. But the one you did in 2006, I will say it I've said it everywhere that it was the best program I've seen at the Maine All State, because it was attainable. It was very diverse in its musicality and what it was asking of students. It was hard for sure, but it was like this musical experience that these kids got that, again, I don't know what made it so special, but it definitely was. So the program was original suite. Man, is that piece hard? Like,
I
it's
still love
such a great piece. Or Gordon Jacob, right? It's one of those pieces that just gets harder as you work on it. It's like, wait, I didn't realize.
it.
How is it harder today than it
All
was
right.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
is that about that
So
piece?
there's a lot in that piece. That's just like the whole suites or the Von Williams, you know, there's a lot of music in there.
Yeah, but
That's the piece no a lot of people don't know or don't program.
yeah, why is that not up there with the whole suites?
I don't know. Why do you think?
I have no
Maybe
idea.
because
It's
it's
a it's.
after.
I think it's hard. I think it's. I mean, I'm not saying the other ones aren't, but you can listen to the
Yeah,
whole suites and see it and be like, oh, we have a euphonium player. We can play this.
yeah, right,
Well,
right.
if you can't play that, like,
Yeah,
piece is over.
yeah, right, right. I don't know. I mean, I just think people kind of relegate Gordon Jacob to like second tier a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, which is what it is. Yeah. I still think it's a great piece, though. I love that piece.
It is a great piece. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Actually, I'm going to just play a little snippet because I love it so much. Here's part of original suite. And then the second piece you did in that program was Endurance by Timothy Marr, which if anybody wants to hear more from him, episode, what did I say, 185, spent with Tim. I know a really good friend of yours as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And let me
uh,
say,
yeah,
you you have advocated for that piece a lot over the years. I mean, you played it with your group when you did the was it BOA at the time, or was it Music
no, it
for
was
All? Yeah.
NAFME,
What was it?
All Eastern.
Oh, is it All Eastern?
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, you
Yeah,
played
and
that
I was going to have
like
you
for
conduct on
great
it, but you
experience.
were already doing a gig somewhere, so you couldn't do it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you still remember, but like, do you still have the score that I did for that piece?
Oh, I do. Yeah,
Yeah, I sent it to Chose,
I know.
and they haven't. I think when you buy the piece, it's still the
The
hand
name
sketch part.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
They decided for 1 year that people would want to read composer's manuscript, and then they learned quickly that people did not want to read composer's
Well,
manuscripts.
and the funny part about it is like my kids aren't good enough. Like I have to know exactly what note they're supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
So I remember emailing him about the alto clarinet part. Like I think it's supposed to be an F sharp, and he says you're correct, but nobody's ever played the alto clarinet part, so nobody's noticed it before. So like I remember learning Endurance through you, like because we did the CD of his music. What do you think makes Endurance so special?
I don't, you know, I mean, I think Tim's music is wonderful and beautiful and powerful. There's something special about that piece. I think some of it is the extra musical stuff. I think the story is something amazing in and of its own right. But it's also something we can all relate to. Um, the the concept the, in the context of just our own lives, enduring, surviving, finding a way to get through things. And then I think the other thing about that piece in particular for Tim's music is just the way it all hangs together. I mean, if you dig into that piece, the connections across 11 minutes of music are pretty awesome. Like there's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, that's that. Oh, that's that. And he did that. Oh, you know, it's pretty cool. So I think all those things kind of play in together to make that. I
Yeah,
love that piece. Yeah.
I don't think there's a piece out there like it. Like to me, it's just kind of
No,
like one of those one of a kind kind of
great.
pieces. So if people are looking for a moment, just go ahead and put in Endurance Tim Mar and just close
Yeah.
your eyes and take 11 minutes. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That D flat section is hard, but
Yeah. It is.
yeah. And what you really need in that band, like everybody has to be able to play, but what is it
Yeah.
like? You need two really good flute players and a piano player.
Yes.
Like that's kind of and a good piccolo player has to be able to play in tune.
For some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so clear, not so crystal clear on those long notes if it's not. Okay, and then after Endurance, you did your piece, Fantasy on a Theme by Sousa, which you say is based on Ferris to the Fair, which was we talked about marches earlier, your favorite Sousa march.
Yeah.
So and we're gonna listen to kind of moments of this piece because the ending of this piece I almost likened to like a drum corps ending back 20 years ago. Like it's the way you use the theme and invert it and all that. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. So this, I mean, we talked about having Craig on for your 100th and 200th episodes because you wanted to recognize that and thank him and what a wonderful teacher he is. And I had same experience. I had a great high school band director, and names were Earl Dickinson. I was lucky to have him in my life. And he had retired. He built that program to where it was doing. I mean, they were doing amazing things there. Um, and he had retired, and the new band director Thad Driscoll and Andy Hauk wanted to honor him. They asked me to write a piece, so I went to Earl and like we talked about what he might want the piece to be, and I probably wouldn't have chosen a march, but he said he'd really gotten into programming marches at the end of his career. So I love Ferris to the Fair, so I used that. And you talked about my music kind of, you remembering the kind of all the half step dissonance stuff. He would not. That's not. I mean, Persichetti he'd play, but like that's not the kind of stuff he would play. So that's, I mean, that put me in a frame of like this is what this piece needs to be.
Yeah.
And then like everything in the piece is really the introduction. Ferris to the Fair. It's just the first lick with Ferris to the Fair. And so even I know you've done some work where you analyzed it and given it to your students so they can see and understand what's happening, which I think is a cool thing, because you're really teaching the kids about what's going on in the piece. But that, yeah, like the introduction of that piece is actually Ferris to the Fair. It's just in augmentation, super augmentation, so that's kind of the whole piece is just based on that. And then by the end, it's like an augmentation layered with like the original on top, layered with a counter line that had come way back from the beginning of the piece. So the only thing that's not from that is two little quotes from our high school alma mater that happened kind of in the middle of the piece and at the end. And that's other than that, it's all fairish to the fair.
And there's a clarinet solo at the beginning over the low brass, and then in the middle part, isn't it trombone solo, but it's upside down? Or
Yep.
does that have
Well,
that
it's
right?
just kind of
Or is it?
reversed in terms of like, yeah, clarinet solo over the low brass, and then in the end, it's like it's trombone with the woodwinds playing the chords, kind of
Yeah.
mostly above trombone. So yeah, a lot of stuff comes back in different ways, flipped, reversed, presented in major, and then presented in minor.
And I'm definitely not with this second comment about Chose. I'm not trying to create a rift between you and Chose in any way. But
I love them.
is this was the piece that you like vehemently disagree with the grade level? Am I because
Um,
I remember
uh,
me
we did
saying, "Is
talk
this
about that.
really a three? Are you really doing a
Yeah,
3.5 with the
it's
All-State band?" And you said it's not a 3.5.
not a 3.5. Yeah, I think in terms of them balancing packages, they wanted to kind of promote it to a larger number of people. And on the page, it looks like it's that, but it's not. Yeah, it's definitely harder. So I I hope there aren't too many bands that bought it and then went, you know. Um, the people at Chose have been amazing to me for a very long time. I love that company. I love those people. I've love working with them. So no, I know what you're saying. Yeah. So if you're looking at it and you're looking at it and thinking it's a 3.5, no, it's probably a 4.5,
And
maybe
to
a
me,
five.
and to me, it's a symphonic work. Just having a larger band is definitely, especially for the end.
It's hard.
I'm somebody who always has one on a part. It seems like in a group that I would do this, so it just doesn't lay the same way unless the kids are really advanced.
You'd have to be really advanced to be able to, yeah, kind of create the wall of sound at the end.
All
I've
right,
I've seen groups do that, but
yeah,
yeah,
like the Marine band could do it. They'd probably be okay.
they would be amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Here's "Fantasy on a Theme" by Sousa. listen to one more piece, which I think is a gem, mainly for its percussion writing, because so many times we have a band that's like, okay, I have a grade 3 band. I want to do something contemporary. I want them to quote unquote like it. I want it to be like, which is code for I want it to be fast and I want it to be like energetic, right? And but
You're so right.
it can't be weird, but it's I want it to be a little bit like off center. Um,
Right.
oh, but I have 48 percussionists, so I can't do anything. Well, this piece we're gonna listen to in a little bit called Clang, like literally however many triangles or metal boards you have or whatever it is, like you can do like you could do this piece. So I know you said it would never be a bestseller or anything, but
Yeah,
like
no.
I think there's a lot of value in the piece. So we're gonna listen to that on the way out. But before we do, speaking of bright, let's make um a segue into
Hard left turn here.
into Clang. So this piece is, I think, really cool. I don't know it super well, to be honest with you. I've just listened to it a few times, got it, and wanted to do it. Haven't done it yet, but I'm one of those groups that like I want those a piece like that for my kids. But then I see that there's 5 percussion parts, and I could use 10 on it. So tell us a little bit about like what it is and how it's constructed, and we'll listen to that on the way out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you brought that piece up. I don't know that that piece is ever going to really catch on too much. But that's another one that grew out of the situation. Talking to the band director, emailing about is to honor the like they were going to build a new performing arts facility and this would be part of the opening ceremony for that and all that sort of stuff. And so I just got to thinking, well, like, what could I use in terms of found percussion? And like, okay, you're building something. Is there anything kind of, because he was telling me like he could walk back through and see the progress on it and see all these things. And I was like, well, is there anything back there that's like we could use? And he came back with these like metal pipes and he's like, what do you think about these? And I thought, okay, that's kind of cool, which made me think of the word clang, because they kind of, that's what they sounded like. Um, which made me think of clang Farben melody. That's kind of a Webern sort of thing, of tone color melody, basically.
Okay.
The idea of going, separating out a melodic line into different notes. So it's a cool teaching thing. You can play Webern for them, or even I can think of things like Erica Svano's steampunk suite. There's a big section in the fourth movement where she does this, where like the melody gets split up between a bunch of different voices. And so, okay, I thought I'll start putting all those pieces together, um, and it was one of those situations where you had a ton of percussionists, and I knew they were good, and um, how can you engage everybody? So that was actually central to the process as I started thinking about it. So, yeah, that's where it came from.
And is it the beginning of it? They're all on triangle, like,
Um,
or is it that the second part of it?
I think that's yeah, I'd have to look back. It's been a few years. The I think that's the second part of it is they're like everybody's on triangle. So everybody has like a metal tube, everybody has a triangle, everybody has a so yeah, you could have if you had enough metal tubes and triangles and whatever, you could every kid could be playing the whole
And
time.
for those of us with marching programs, those metal frames for the marimbas and the vibraphones, like those are perfect.
Right. Right. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
just
think and I think when you listen to the piece, you can't really tell this, but the way you wrote the percussion writing is it's everybody has the unison rhythm, only it's is it one beat apart or a half
yeah.
beat? It's something like that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of canonic stuff in there too. So it seems more complicated, even though you could literally teach the rhythm to everybody at once and then
Yeah.
just okay, but you start on beat three.
It's almost like playing a drum circle on triangles. I just think it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Oh, you're very kind.
Well, because I've also done alchemy, which people may or may not know, which is another piece that you've done about metal.
Yeah.
Um, so I just like the practicality of it as well as being contemporary music.
Oh, thanks.
So
Well, hey, before we listen to this, and before we finish up, this isn't the actual 300th, but you called it 300A. So I think, and it's probably been said before by other people, but I just want you to know, and I think this needs to be out there, what a difference you've made by doing this. I know you're very passionate about this, and you put a lot of time and a lot of thought and a lot of effort into it, and there's a lot of love for your own students. There's a lot of love for the profession, for the medium, and when you search certain things, you search a composer sometimes, and one of the first things that pops up is your podcast with them. Like you are making a difference. You're helping teachers, not just in this country, but like around the world, and helping to improve us as teachers, and that's ultimately going to lead to students that are more passionate about music as well. So, thank you. I appreciate you doing this, man.
You're very welcome. Now it's awkward.
I had look. I mean, we're really good friends. I had to say it though, and I wanted it out there. Like, people need to know, and I think a lot of people think that, and I'm sure you've heard from people who've been really impacted by things you've done with this podcast. But yeah, it needs to be said.
Well, thank you very much. All right, let's listen to Clang. We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director. See you next week.